better put down whatever you're doing and watch this video all the way through because it's Week 7 NFL review time, baby, right after this. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to shout out the sponsor of today's video, DraftKings. Basketball fans, we've been waiting all summer and the time is finally here for teams to match up and hit the court. Today, I'm partnered up with DraftKings Sportsbook and they have an exciting offer. All new customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings app and sign up using my promo code BARRY only at DraftKings. That's right, new customers can bet just $5 on any basketball game and get $200 in bonus bets into your account instantly. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game, including player points, rebounds, assists, etc. If you're already signed up for DraftKings, it's no problem. All customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay or SGPX if your bet doesn't hit. Max reward limits apply. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code BARRY and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code BARRY only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Jacksonville versus New Orleans. It was a mixed bag for Jacksonville to start the game. They took a 7-0 lead, but they committed 2 turnovers, including a muff punt in the first quarter. But thankfully for them, Derek Carr sucks, and New Orleans was only able to get 3 points out of it before they went up 14-3 on an impressive touchdown run by Travis Etienne. The game was pretty boring and saw no touchdowns until midway through the third quarter when Derek Dude Where's My Car threw a touchdown pass. Unfortunately, it was to the other team to give Jacksonville a 15-point lead. Can we talk about how fucking dog shit the Jaguars uniforms are for a second? They had some of the best uniforms in the league 20 years ago, and they've just completely resorted to some basic-ass Microsoft Paint type of shit. Disgusting. But the Saints absolutely refused to go down. No offense to Monica Lewinsky. They first cut it to 8 with a Taysom Hill touchdown run, and then eventually tied the game at 24 with about 6.5 minutes left. They had the ball with a chance to go ahead, but Derek Carr flamed out. Trevor Lawrence then activated his Tom Brady powers and willed Christian Kirk to a 44-yard touchdown to go up 7 with 3 minutes left. Derek Carr threw a game-tying touchdown pass, but unfortunately it was dropped by Foster Moreau. Carr's fourth down throw was incomplete as the Saints fell to 3-4, and the Jaguars improved to a surprising 5-2, despite the fact that Travon Walker is on pace to be one of the biggest draft bust and most irrelevant first overall picks ever, and they'd be even better right now had they chosen Aiden Hutchinson. Patriots versus Bills. What was expected to be an easy Buffalo win against the terrible Patriots quickly turned into panic mode for Buffalo. The Patriots went up 10 early. Buffalo's kicker then badly missed field goal late in the first half, but Buffalo would respond by getting a touchdown to cut it to 3. Patriots would maintain their lead with a field goal to go up to 6, but the Bills couldn't capitalize, turning it over on downs while Mac Jones pulled the best game of his career out of his ass at the most opportune time, throwing a bunch of dimes and then throwing a touchdown, Kendrick Bourne, to make it a 12-point game. Oh wow, the tush push doesn't work for everybody. Wow. Down 12 with just under 6 minutes left, the Bills finally realized that they should be winning this game. Allen threw a touchdown to Stephon Diggs, and then for the 4th straight year, a Patriots skill player fumbled away a ball late, inexcusably, that never happened under Tom Brady. Speaking of Brady, the only reason the Patriots were able to win this game, spoiler, is because Brady went around and kissed every single player on the team on the lip for the game, especially Mac Jones, as Jones channeled Brady with his checkdowns on the game-winning drive, which included the game-winning touchdown pass to Mike Gesicki in the end racism end zone, might I add. Unironically, probably the biggest win in the post-Brady era for the Patriots, as we see Bill Belichick giving his mating call to a MILF in the stands. Tom Brady's system quarterback narrative is back on, baby, for at least 6 days. Baltimore versus Detroit. If you had asked a Detroit Lions fan before the season if they'd be happy with a 5-2 start, they probably would have said yes. But I guarantee you right now, most Lion fans feel like shit after this performance. Just goes to show that everything is relative. No offense to people from Alabama. The Ravens took a massive dump on the Lions, and you know whenever there is poop involved, Odell Beckham Jr. isn't far behind. It was 28-0 midway through the second quarter, and the Lions never even came close to making it a game, turning the ball over a bunch before the Ravens made it 35-0 midway through the third quarter. Jared Goff did throw a manly interception, and first-round pick Jahmyr Gibbs finally did something for once, scoring his first ever touchdown touchdown to cut it to 29 with 14 minutes left before the Ravens made a field goal to reach the final score of 38-6. But only time will tell if this was just a one-game fluke or whether or not the Detroit Lions themselves were on a heater and are now coming back to earth. The Lions are a fun team, so I don't want to think that they've been on a fluke hot streak. But when Jared Goff is your quarterback, it's tough to not be a little pessimistic. Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Professional DoorDash sponsor Desmond Ridder did the brand good early on, running for a touchdown, before Baker Mayfield threw the best pass Mike Evans has got since 2019 for a touchdown to tie it at 7. Just a nonchalant one-handed behind the back catch by Kyle Pitts to save Desmond Ridder from an interception. It would lead to a field goal, which Tampa answered with a field goal of their own to tie the game at 10, and then this game became a pretty big clusterfuck. Ridder shit the ball out of his ass several times, including twice right on the goal line. Atlanta would have a 13-10 lead as Baker Mayfield stinks and wasn't able to do much with anything. But really, this should have been a Falcons blowout. And no, fantasy owners, I really don't give a shit about Bijan Robinson mysteriously being out. It looked as though Baker would do just enough in the end to get Tampa the win late in the game, but he threw a terrible interception deep in the red zone. But he would get another chance after that with his deceptively athletic quarterback sneaking abilities, leading Tampa to a Cheesecake Factory-powered game-tying field goal drive before Ridder finally got his shit together, throwing a great throw to Kyle Pitts to set Atlanta up for the game-winning field goal, which Younghoe Koo hit from 51 yards out to win 16-13. The NFC South continues to be terrible. Chicago versus Las Vegas. I'm just going to say one thing. It's not a good look for Justin Fields when some dipshit redneck from some Division II school comes in the same system you played for 3 years, and the offense looks better than ever before than it did with you under center. The Raiders, playing with heavy hearts as the gorgeous, handsome Jimmy Garoppolo was out with an injury, stood no chance in this game, and they played like it. This game was never really competitive and pretty boring. Tyson Bagent threw a bunch of checkdowns, and it worked as the Bears had a 21-3 lead at 3 quarters. Props to Josh McDaniels for heroically kicking a field goal down 18, which was immediately canceled out by the Bears making a 54-yarder. The Raiders would throw a touchdown pass. Unfortunately, it was to the other team, which made the deficit even worse. I love showing arm punts like this. You have to respect badly thrown interceptions down the field. If you don't, then don't follow my channel. Aiden O'Connell said, "We're not going to get a win, but I'm going to get my stats, motherfucker." That's right. The Raiders just got their ass kicked by Carrot Top. Cleveland versus Indianapolis. The game of the week began with Deshaun Watson inspiring his teammate to run for a long-ass touchdown. But Cleveland's vaunted defense decided to be generous and give up a long touchdown of their own to tie the game at 7. Deshaun Watson, aka Groper Cleveland, continues to be absolutely terrible while he's on the field. Meanwhile, Gardner Minshew with the sneakiest, hardest, most deceptive 20-yard touchdown run a quarterback's ever had. Arnold Schwarzenegger must be nearby because I see an injured Predator. Minshew would shit the ball out, which led to a Browns touchdown. Myles Garrett continued to show that he's not human by blocking a field goal with his penis. The Browns took a short lead before Minshew ran for another deceptively athletic touchdown before giving it right back a couple minutes later after being mistaken for Mason Rudolph by Garrett in the end zone. Cleveland would lead by 6 at halftime, then expand that to 9 with a couple field goals in the third quarter. Hey look, it's a Jonathan Taylor sighting. 4th and 1, and the Browns completely fucked it up. Wow, if only there was some famous play on 4th and 1 that supposedly every team could do to get a yard. Colts would take a short lead early in the 4th. PJ Walker had a manly arm punt, but it didn't hurt the Browns as Indy would give them the ball back and they went up 33-31. What would hurt the Browns was this terrible tackling on this long-ass Michael Pittman touchdown, which put Indy up 5 with about 5 minutes left. Indy had a chance to put the game away, but checkdowns on 3rd and 15 were all that they got. Walker led the Browns into Colt territory, and then the refs did the rest, making a couple pretty tacky calls, including a terrible call in the end zone, which set up Kareem Hunt with the game-winning touchdown run with 15 seconds left before Minshew shit the ball out again. Deshaun Watson went 1 for 5 yards, 1 interception, and a 0.0 passer rating, and he gets credited with the win. Isn't America great? New Jersey versus Washington. The Battle of Mid took place on this day, but the Giants would be a little less shitty, as it turns out. They took a 14-0 lead in the first half, and it looked like this would be a semi-entertaining game, but Sam Howell continued his habit of being tackled by other large men, while the Giants then reverted back to being the Giants, scoring no points over the final 2.5 quarters, but thankfully for them, Washington's offense is so terrible that it didn't matter. If you love punts, then this game was for you. Because that's all there was in the entire fucking second half, except for the occasional missed field goal. Wait a minute, I spoke too soon. Here's an actual dime by Tyrod Taylor, but it didn't amount to anything because Saquon Barkley fumbled the fucking football. Howell would drive Washington all the way down the field just to turn the ball over on downs. Howell's been sacked 40 times in 7 games. Looks like Washington needs another quarterback again. Seattle versus Arizona. The Battle of Mid Part 2 as Geno throws another amazing pass, but it didn't amount to anything. Just like the Cardinals have amounted to nothing, unsurprisingly, under Josh Dobbs. Absolutely beautiful, tightly contested touchdown pass here from Geno to go up 7-0. The first half of this game was actually pretty exciting for a game between two teams you'd expect to be boring as shit. Dobbs ran for a touchdown, and then Geno threw an absolute beauty, put Seattle back up 14-10. And then the game became exactly what everybody thought it would be. With the occasional incredible Geno Smith dime aside, this was nothing but field goals and interceptions and fumbles and turnover on downs. Just absolutely brutal football. Can't forget about missed field goals too. The game basically ended with 2 minutes left when the Hawks finally put Arizona out of their misery, going up 10, which would also end up being the final score. Pete Carroll's clapping because now he has more time to look up conspiracy theories on the internet. I would say Seattle is the most mid 4-2 team ever, but there's another team in my next game video that has that title. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Rams. Brett Maher following Bill Maher's footsteps by going a little bit too far to the left. There'd be no action in this game until the end of the first half when Stafford threw a "fuck it, somebody's down there" pass. It somehow ended up being caught for a touchdown before Maher once again went too far to the left. Stafford was distracted by TJ Watt's hard-workingness, which led to an interception which set up a short field, capped off by a hard-working quarterback sneak by Kenny Pickett. Stafford threw an absolute dime to Puka Nacua, which led to a Rams touchdown and 2-point conversion to hard work Cooper Kupp. The Rams had a chance to go up 10, but that goddamn Maher just continued to go way too far to the left. Again, I want to note all the Pittsburgh fans in attendance, this is supposed to be a Rams home game. The Steelers tied the game on a good touchdown run by not Najee Harris before getting the ball back and then scoring the go-ahead touchdown run, a little bit easier this time, by Najee Harris. The Rams would last touch the ball with about 5.5 minutes left, punting it away, never getting it back as Kenny Pickett was incorrectly given a first down on a failed quarterback sneak, shocker, that allowed Pittsburgh to run out the clock, dropping the Rams to 3-4 and improving the Steelers to 4-2 somehow. Denver versus Green Bay. A pretty boring first half where nothing happened outside of 3 field goals by Denver and a missed field goal by the Packers before shit started to pick up a bit in the second half. Trick play alert, the Packers finally got on the board with a field goal before drunk Tiger Woods threw a touchdown to go up 16-7 midway through the third. Jordan Love then finally started playing like an NFL quarterback, throwing a touchdown to cut it to 6. Broncos would be forced to punt the ball back. Then Love led the Packers all the way down inside the Broncos 5, where he had one of the luckiest touchdown passes ever, throwing an incomplete pass and a touchdown on the same play somehow in the end racism end zone to put Green Bay up by 1. Broncos, however, would retake the lead with 4 minutes left off of a long field goal, at which point it looked like the Packers would be in position to steal the game right back, but Jordan Love knows the deal. Throwing mainly arm punts and throwing the ball downfield is more important than winning games. Seriously, I really don't know what to make of Jordan Love. He looked pretty good the first couple weeks. Last couple weeks, he's just been terrible. My gut says he should be a lot better than he is for a guy in his 4th season. Lesbian Power Walk. Chiefs versus Chargers. One of the most anticipated games of the year did not fail to live up to the billing. There was absolutely zero defense played in the first half, which is because both quarterbacks refused to take pay cuts, obviously. Incredible handoff by Justin Herbert to tie the game at 10. Mahomes threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half, including a bunch to Travis Kelce.
Oh, my hands smell like shit. I love it.
The Chiefs had a 17-10 lead before the defense gave it right back. I honestly thought this was going to end up being like 51-48 or something. Little intermission here for a Mahomes arm punt. Patrick, that's not going to help your GOAT case over Brady. But cross-body passes for huge gains and touchdown passes on the goal line, Travis Kelce will. In the second half, things slowed down considerably, unlike my last relationship. The Chiefs fumbled, then Justin Stafford threw a terrible red zone interception off a deflection. You're 6'6", you shouldn't be getting deflected. Then there were a bunch of punts exchanged and drops, and finally there was a huge punt return by Mecole Hardman. Wow, the Chiefs having a clutch punt return to set up Mahomes with a short field that ends with a touchdown pass? As an Eagles fan, I've never seen that before.
Oh my god, I'm so happy. I love everything.
The game ended with Stafford throwing his second interception before Mahomes listened to all the Chargers players tell him how amazing he is. The best team in the league versus Miami. The game began a little bit rocky. See what I did there, Rocky Balboa, Philadelphia. Nobody appreciates my greatness. It's disgusting. Tush push alert. Ridiculous throw by Hurts to put Philly up 10-3. Hurts then made an incredible pass to set up a tush push touchdown to go up 17-3. But then Tua Tagovailoa had some ridiculous throws, including a touchdown that was beautiful to Tyreek Hill, famous child and pregnant woman respecter. Great no call here by the officials. Jalen Hurts is such an unselfish person. He allowed the Dolphins to have a touchdown and tie the game, giving them false hope just to tear out their hearts on the next possession, leading a clutch touchdown drive, finding A.J. Brown to make it 24-17. Tua Eli Manning Valoa then threw an interception. Tush push alert! Tush push alert again! Incredible deep throw by Jalen Hurts here for Swole Batman, which set up the game-winning touchdown drive by Kenneth Gainwell. Great last name for a running back, by the way. Before the Dolphins just kind of laid down, somewhat disappointingly. Before the game, we had to hear about how great the Dolphins were and the Eagles were frauds, and now, after the Eagles beat the shit out of them, we hear about how the Dolphins aren't actually that good. But it's okay, I understand. People are just jealous and insecure of the Eagles' greatness. 6-1, first place in the NFC right now. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Minnesota versus San Francisco. The game started off like everybody thought it would, with primetime Kirk Cousins throwing a terrible interception, but the gritty gym rat Christian McCaffrey had a little boo-boo and fumbled the ball right back, and Kirk found Jordan Addison for a great touchdown to put Minnesota up 7-0. 49ers missed a field goal, but their defense kept them in it, holding Minnesota out of the end zone while Christian McCaffrey had a 10 out of 10 daughter dating rating approved touchdown to make it 10-7. Before the deciding play of the game, which happened with 15 seconds in the first half, as Cousins threw a terrible throw that should have been picked that somehow was ripped out of Jawad Ward's hands for another touchdown by Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson's system receiver alert, potentially, but the extra point was missed, making it 16-7 at halftime. The Vikings went up 19-7 before Brock Purdy threw a laser to Christian McCaffrey. Super impressive to cut it to 19-14. The Vikings would go up 8 entering the fourth, but the 49ers cut into that with a 55-yard field goal. The Vikings would punt, giving the 49ers and Brock Purdy multiple chances to win the game, but Purdy failed to will one of his opponents to be offsides to negate his first fourth quarter interception. Fortunately for him, though, Kevin O'Connell coached like a pussy and decided to settle for a long field goal, which unsurprisingly was missed, and then Purdy threw his second horrible interception. Rob Diedrich is very upset. Purdy needs to learn this. If you want to win games and you want to be considered the GOAT, you got to throw 3 interceptions in the second half, not 2. It's really inexcusable on his part, and all the system narratives and all that shit, that's gonna start popping up now. 49ers are on a 2-game losing streak. But as an Eagles fan, I say thank you for the assistance, Vikings. Now it's time for what you've all been waiting for, the Week 7 Barry Awards. My Offensive Player of the Week goes to Lamar Jackson. Easy choice here. Ridiculous numbers. Almost 360 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 156. Also ran for 36 yards and another touchdown in the Ravens blowout win versus a 5-1 Detroit team. Defensive Player of the Week, Myles Garrett. He had a pass deflection, 2 sacks, 9 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits, a forced fumble, and a blocked field goal. In a game the Browns won by just 1 point, he literally was the difference. My biggest loser of the week is Justin Herbert. And I say this because Herbert is a guy who came into the league, and it seemed through his first 2 seasons he was progressing to become a legitimately all-time great. And he seems to have kind of stalemated, and he's now through 55 games. He has a losing career record, and obviously I understand it's not all on him, but maybe it's time to start saying that this guy isn't going to be as great as we all thought he would be. And he reminds me a lot of Matthew Stafford, a tall, strong-arm quarterback with a losing career record. People always have excuses for him. Good player, good quarterback, but there's just something missing there that stops him, the lack of consistency from becoming one of the true elites of elite that so many expect. He's still just 25, so I'm not saying he still can't become an all-time great quarterback, but eventually we're going to have to see the leap that everybody's been waiting for, and I'm starting to become doubtful it's ever going to happen. The Tom Brady check down of the week award winner, Brock Purdy, this is pretty self-explanatory. Just look at this fucking play. My puppy of the week, once again, is Scooby. 5 straight wins. There hasn't been a run of dominance like this since the Bill Russell Celtics 8-peated in the 50s and 60s. But also a special puppy of the week. This one goes to Hoover, a fan submission. Unfortunately, this good boy is no longer with us, passed away this week. Rest in peace, good boy. I'm sure you're somewhere over the Rainbow Bridge.